I guess I'll just get straight to the point. I'd be willing to bet that in the vast majority of cases, people are transphobic because they feel insecure about their appearance and or sexuality when they see attractive transgender women. It's no secret that a lot of men who are transphobic will openly admit that they hate it when they see a hot girl and later find out that she has a penis. That's probably the real reason why they are transphobic in general. It has nothing to do with Jeebus or them being concerned for the kids, it's just them hating the fact that they feel legitimate attraction to people who have penises, yet would otherwise clearly appear as they don't when they present themselves in public on a regular day-to-day basis. That's it. Again, if they really were so concerned for Jeebus and the kids, then they would legalize slavery and not let women speak or have authority over men, right? There are multiple places in the New Testament which clearly promote those sorts of things as being morally correct, right? Ephesians 6:5-8, Colossians 3:22-24, 1 Timothy 6:1-2, Titus 2:9-10, 1 Timothy 2:12. However, at least nowadays, the overwhelming majority of them don't support all that sort of bullshit. So they clearly don't actually care that much about what the Bible says, which is a good thing. It's clearly some other reason, such as them feeling insecure about their sexualities when they're attracted to hot transgender women. So what about transgender men? It's interesting how transphobes will usually leave out transgender men in their anti-trans rhetoric, and will primarily focus on transgender women. Why is that? Well, I'm not at all trying to make fun of, degrade, or put down transgender men, or men in general, but quite the opposite actually, as you will soon see. Here's the thing, transgender men do tend to be shorter than cis men on average, and society, especially lots of women, has this fucked up view of insulting and degrading short men in general. It especially doesn't make sense when short women will literally look up to men who are taller and say you're too short for me. Obviously there's plenty of women who don't do this sort of bullshit, but it's still a pretty common trend. There's a lot of women who are 5 feet 4 inches, and will physically look up to a man towering over her at 5 feet 9 inches, and say you're too short for me. Look, I'm against degrading people based on their height in general, but doesn't it just seem exceptionally stupid to claim that someone is too short for you when they are literally taller than you and you literally have to physically look up at them in order to make eye contact? So for that reason, i.e. lots of women having a tendency to view short men as being less attractive, even if these so-called short men are taller than these same exact women, in many cases, women are less likely to feel insecure about their sexualities around transgender men. It's just because trans men tend to be shorter, and women tend to view that as unattractive, even if the man in question is literally taller than the girl in question, and the man would otherwise still have lots of good things going for them. Now, I think that that's pretty fucked up, but that's the way most people are. Another underlying reason for transphobia that I brought up earlier was transphobic women who feel insecure about their appearance when they see attractive transgender women. The same exact type of logic from before applies here as well. You know, I once saw a documentary about a transgender man who was really into exercising, and he was in great shape. But how tall was he? 5 feet 7 inches if I'm not mistaken. So while I'm sure there would be plenty of men who would get jealous of him for his muscles, they'd probably not feel all too threatened and in competition with him due to the fact that he's considered short and therefore unattractive by a lot of women. Even though he's taller than the average woman. Yes, the average female height is 5 feet 4 inches, yet 5 feet 7 inches, which is clearly taller than most women, is still considered too short by most women. How ridiculous is that? But tall women, on the other hand, are usually not considered unattractive by men. In fact, a lot of men actually like women who are tall. In other words, a woman who's 5 feet 9 inches, i.e. average male height, is probably going to be seen as way more attractive, and get way less bullshit than a man who is 5 feet 4 inches, i.e. average female height. That's why women are more likely to feel threatened and insecure about their appearance when they see trans women than men do when they see trans men. Again, I think that this is fucked up, but that's the way it currently is. Another thing I've noticed is that transphobic women tend to have a pretty masculine appearance. Haven't you noticed this as well? Based on what I've seen so far, it appears that butch, masculine, short-haired women are far more likely to be transphobic than women who are more feminine. And that's probably because whenever they see an attractive, feminine transgender woman, they are thinking, well shit, this man with a penis is able to present himself as a woman that's more attractive, and maybe even more passable and feminine than I am. Despite me being born with a vagina, and being biologically more female. That's probably what they're thinking, right? Anyways, I hope that this leads to some insight, and maybe even some clever comebacks to transphobes who like to insult transgender women. You could just say something like, well, I bet that you're just insecure about your appearance/sexuality when you see hot trans women. It's probably true, is it not?